One weekend, a friend from school named Daniela and her parents took me to a musical concert. I wore heavy gauge white wool tights. I had to pee in the middle of the performance, but it wasn't possible to leave. I held it for as long as I could, and then finally, not able to hold it any longer, I peed in my tights. I was relieved to notice when the lights turned on that you couldn't tell from looking that they were soaked. In the bathroom at intermission, I tried to flush the tights down the toilet. They gathered near the hole, stuck a twirl of sodden fabric. When I left the stall, there was a line out of the bathroom. The next person in line, a woman, advanced toward the stall I left. "I don't know if you want to use that one," I said to her, using my best dictation, as if she and I were conspirators. There's a pair of children's tights in the toilet." The woman gave me a strange look, and it was only after I walked out that I realized that I'd given myself away. After the show, my mother took Daniela and me for pizza at Applewood, and as we walked back to the car, we took turns swinging her cloth purse by the long handle, making huge and violent circles above the sidewalk. Daniela whipped it around, an X-Acto blade my mother used for an art project. Must have made its way to bottom, come uncapped, and poked through the fabric. The bottom of the bag brushed against the top of my wrist and slashed it open. Later, it developed into a scar, an inch long, vertical, bisecting my forearm, an eye shape that was not unattractive and that I have become used to. For a while, she felt guilty and could hardly look at that scar. But then years later, she would point and exclaim, "I signed you," like I was her art. Sometimes my mother remarked how her own mother, Virginia, wouldn't have done this or that, wouldn't have taken her to a cafe to get cake, or intervened on her behalf in school, or brought her snacks in bed when she was hungry. And the summation of these small comments, as far as I understood, at the very least, was that her mother had withheld her from the elements of my own childhood that I liked most. When I was little, she said, my mother noticed I had artistic talent, and she went out and bought my sister Linda an easel and an elaborate paint set. Then she said I wasn't allowed to touch it. I wanted more stories like that one, stories of Virginia's cruelty. But instead, she mostly told me about how her mother was a great cook and had strung up fat, hand-cut noodles around the kitchen to dry like socks, had insisted on buying feather duvets when this was not common. Once, on a snowy day, Virginia looked out the window and saw two bright red cardinals sitting on the branch and decided she would buy herself a pair of red shoes, and did. Though Virginia, we were related to the late Branch Rickey, who was her great uncle and the general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, the man who helped get Jackie Robinson into Major League Baseball. It was important to defend Virginia. My mother implied even before I knew what we were defending her against. My first memory was as a baby, in my crib, looking around, noticing how meager the room was, she said, as if I'd come from some other place that was considerably nicer. In her stories of childhood, she was sometimes defenseless, and at other times powerful. She was required to wear skirts and flimsy coats to school in the freezing Ohio winters. She had the initiative and independence to save cereal tokens and trade them for binoculars, and went wandering and bird watching alone at dawn. Now she was looking for something much better than what she'd ever experienced before. She wanted it for both of us, something exquisite that she could imagine, but that we hadn't seen or tasted yet.